this gentleman decided to go back to the EMPD offices and the fire brigade and the police station and take brand new photos. He says, there was no need to cook the pictures for the inspection in local, guys, because we were there.
And I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party. Pink felt like I'm ready to bend. I'm a 10, so I pull in a 10. Like Daddy,
Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nogwazi Ndombela, also known as Gwazi Bear on all social media platforms. Do subscribe, be a part of this family, and if you are a returning subby, welcome back, darling. Now guys, as you know, every week I give you updates in the Senzo Meyiwa Trial, and today I'm here to do exactly that. Before I get into this video, please like this video, please comment with your thoughts, and also do share the video so that I reach a greater audience. And guys, we are partially monetized on this new channel, so please do super thanks. Please do super thanks, guys. I absolutely appreciate your love and support. We are just about 170 subscribers from 1,000 subscribers, and we get full monetization with ads. And then for my super thanks, but for now, please do super thanks if you can. Without wasting too much of your time, guys, into this video. Now, after the recess, we are finally back in the Senzo Meyiwa case, and on Monday the 21st of July, we dealt with issues zisu kanche, out from the box issues. Now, the accused in this case have been coming to court for the past 3 years, and they have been chained on their ankles. And with the chaining on their ankles, they were provided with pads to protect their ankles from getting injured from the chains. So on Monday, when we came to court, it was said that accused number 3 was refusing to come to court because there was an order that was made, or there was a new rule, I would say, that was made by the area commissioner, which says that the accused can no longer wear the pads due to an escape by a prisoner in one of the prisons in Johannesburg. Now, firstly, just before we get into the proceedings and how all of that went down, I find it extremely unfair that, one, the accused are being punished for something that they had nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with this case. It has nothing to do with these accused, but that is the rule that the area commissioner came up with, or that is a ruling that the area commissioner came up with. But what's more surprising to me is that it's only Kgosi Mampuru prisoners that had an issue, and also the inconsistency, because not all of them. Now guys, if you remember, the 5 accused in this case, accused number 1 is from Modabi prison, and he had the pads on his ankle, which means it's a rule that's not consistent in the prison. That's the first issue that I had with this issue. And Untanzi, accused number 2, is at Kgosi Mampuru as well, but he is at, I think, Bisal, and he had pads on his ankles. So why is it that accused number 3, who's at Kgosi Mampuru B-Max or C-Max, is it B-Max or C-Max? I think C-Max, and accused number 5, who's also at Kgosi Mampuru B-Max, why are they now not allowed to have the sponges? Accused number 4 is at Lurkop, and he had the sponges as well. So one, there's an inconsistency there, and also punishing the other prisoners for something that happened at another prison with another prisoner that has nothing to do with this is crazy business. Now, the first thing that Umnisi does raise is that, well, it's pretty funny that this is the situation, and you're telling us that the area commissioner has said that because of this prisoner escaping, the accused should not have the pads, but accused 1, 2, and 4 actually have the pads, and it's only accused 3 and 5 that are affected. Now, after a long consultation and calls being made left, right, and center, they came to an agreement that these pads should be removed. But before they came to that agreement, they asked the defense to actually respond in connection to this. So one of the things that Umnisi does mention is that, firstly, the accused are in pain with the ankles, with the chains slapping against their ankles the way that they are in pain, and it is a violation of their human rights. And he does say that he does not want to be a part of that violation as well. And he does say that also the accused, number 3, because he refused to come to court, he was carried out of his cell, carried to the vehicle, carried out of the vehicle, and carried into court, which is inhumane, basically. And the judge then asked, did they always have these pads all along? And the answer is yes. For the past 3 years, they've been coming to court, they've had these pads, so we don't know what the issue is. And Ramasipili also does say that, Mr. Matlala is missing to tell the court about the Correctional Service Act, where it says that the only time that restraints are meant to be kept on an accused is if there's suspicion of escaping or anything like that. Right now, the accused have never demonstrated wanting to escape from the prison or wanting to escape from court. And also, there's about 15 guards inside the courtroom, which doesn't make sense for them to try and escape in any case. Mshololo also reiterates the points of Umnisi and Ramsipili and basically says that, they are in pain, and also they've been coming here for 3 years and we've never had an issue with them having those pads, so why now? After a few contacts, they obviously came to an agreement that those pads will be removed. And after that, then Mshololo says, well, they have said that the pads will be removed for now, but we need an indication as to going forward what is going to be like the situation, because they don't know, maybe tomorrow they might come and wake up again and say the pads are not allowed again. So it was agreed that the pads will be used for the duration of the court proceedings. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like this is one, the state trying to delay the case, and 2, the state trying to intimidate the accused in some sort of way. Because why now? Like, why now? I don't understand why they are doing this now. Now, on Monday, they ended up not proceeding with the case because the accused did indicate that they are in pain and they're unable to concentrate, so the court was adjourned for Tuesday. On Tuesday, the 22nd of July, when we returned to court, the accused were asked if they are all good and well, and the response was that everything is fine with the accused on Tuesday and we are good to proceed. Now, one of the issues that were outstanding was the issue of the inspection in loco that was done just before the recess. We were unable to put on record what the observations of the state, the judge, as well as the defense was. So that is what happened on Tuesday. Baloyi started with his observation of the inspection in loco, and he did mention several points and several areas in which Moses Bia pointed out, and also he does hand up an exhibit, which is exhibit ZZ2, which are some of the pictures that were taken at the inspection in loco. The judge then does request that all the defense counsel do put their observation as well onto the record, and when Mnisi puts his observation, he basically says that everything that the state has put onto the record he does agree with, except for one aspect on line 3, where he says that the accused says that he doesn't know who assaulted him, and he doesn't know how he was assaulted. So Mnisi corrected that by saying the accused does mention the people that were present during his assault, which means he does know the people that assaulted him, and he does know the form of assault that was done on him, which was the covering of the plastic over his head and the kicking of the boots. But specifically as to who was kicking at the time, he obviously cannot tell because the plastic bag was over his head. Ramasipile as well does agree with everything that was stated by Ubaloyi and the additions that Umnisi gave, and then Umalo also agreed. And then Mshololo, when giving her observations, I love that she pointed out that there is a private road in the area of the EMPD offices, and the private road was not mentioned by the state. So she does put that on record, that there is the main road where there's pedestrians and there's cars and a lot of movement, and then there's a private road within that specific area. So the judge then asks, once they're done, Baloyi does say that he does intend on leading a witness with regards to the photos that were taken at the inspection in loco, and the next witness was called. Now, the witness does lead evidence on the photos that he took on the day, and nothing was suspicious about the photos that he was explaining, right? Until cross-examination came. So before we get into the cross-examination, let me just touch on some of the points that he talked about. He talked about certain points on the pictures, and there were cones that he was indicating that were put on the pictures, and he was counting the distances between the cones, and etc, etc. And all along, I thought everything was going smoothly until cross-examination actually came. When Mnisi begins his cross-examination, he says it's not cross-examination per se, but it's just a bit of clarification. He first corrects the witness in saying that he was requested to do a pointing out, and he was requested by a Captain Ruth. I don't know if it's Captain or Lieutenant General Ruth, and he says that it was supposed to be a pointing out by Kininda and Usbi. But the funny thing about the actual pointing out and mentioning Kininda and Usbi is that when the witness is asked if he saw Kininda at the inspection in loco, the witness adamantly says no, he did not. And guys, the witness did not lie. Sonke asimbonango Kininda. We all didn't see Kininda on the day. So how do we prove that it was Kininda doing the pointing out? Because Kininda was Robocop. Kininda was all mussed up. So the photographer didn't see the person that was doing the pointing out or the inspection in loco. Neither did South Africa, to be quite honest. No one saw Kininda on the day. Yes, we heard the voice, and the judge does butt in and try to save the stage here by saying he did see Kininda because he asked him to remove the mask, and he did see him on the day. But that's not something we saw, that's not something we heard, right? But asiko lapho. Then Mnisi goes into the question that says, were all the photos that are part of this album taken on the day of the inspection in loco? And that's when I was like, damn, Mnisi is onto something here. And we find out that not all of the pictures that are in this particular album were taken on the day of the inspection in loco, where we were all there live listening and watching, guys. This gentleman decided to go back to the EMPD offices and the fire brigade and the police station and take brand new photos. He does say that he went the following day, and all the pictures, basically the ones with the cones on them, all those pictures were taken on the following day. So Mnisi's question to him is, who told you to go back the following day? And he says it was Mnisi and Ubaloyi. And Mnisi's like, hey, I didn't ask you to go take measurements, so don't be mentioning my name. So did you and Baloyi have a conversation on the side for you to go back and take pictures? How did you know where to put the cones? Because you were there alone. He says he was there alone. He went there because he was doing a thorough job, and he does his job very well. So he decided that because the day before there were too many people at the scene, he couldn't take proper photos. But you could have just asked the people to move. Why do you want to go now and take pictures and put cones in places that no one knows what's points, and then you start measuring points? How do we know that you're measuring the correct points, first of all? Guys, Upkebengo State keeps getting deeper and deeper. There was no need to cook the pictures for the inspection in loco, guys, because we were there live. Why are they still cooking? Why is the state still cooking? Now, there was another issue in the cross-examination with regards to a particular guard room that he allegedly took in the pictures. But now the funny thing about these particular pictures is that he says the cone that is reflected on the picture is the guard room, or represent the guard room. So why would you take a picture of the cone instead of actually taking the actual photo of the guard room? And then Mnisi is like, do any of the photos that you have there actually reflect or depict the guard room? And there's absolutely no photos that depict the guard room. The judge yet again intervenes and says that, you know, we were there, I did see the guard room, there were even police manning that place, yada 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 yada, which is not the point. The point here is that when you're putting cones and saying this is the guard room, but you don't take a picture of the guard room. Why? Because the guard room is there. It's not like you remove the guard room and put the cone. Now, once Mnisi was done with his cross-examination, the rest of the defense didn't really have questions for the witness, and the judge then shared his observations on the inspection in loco, and he was spot on. Me and Judge Rata, we've got that love-hate relationship. But on this day, he was spot on with his notes. The only thing that I picked up that he didn't mention is the issue that Muzi Sibiya did mention, that it was during COVID times. So this is some of the notes that the judge put there. It's with regards to the fire brigade and the Metro Police officers, and he did ask who parks in that area, and he did ask also the trading hours of the municipal offices. Now, they did reply to him and say that the trading hours are from 8 to 4, but regardless of whether the trading hours are from 8 to 4, this was during COVID, which is the point that he missed in his notes. It was during COVID, and also the time in which Sibiya met Ukininda, according to Kininda, was about 7:30. So either way, no one would have been at the offices at that time. And then he does also speak about where Muzi sat down and pointed out where he was allegedly assaulted, and also he spoke about Kininda's version and what he pointed at the police station. Before the judge could conclude, Sibiya does then point out that the judge did make a mistake with some of his notes, in saying that Sibiya said that he had his legs together when he was on the floor. Sibiya says that I did not say my legs were together, but I did say I did not have cuffs on my legs at that time. So those were the proceedings on Tuesday. Let's go on to Wednesday. Now on Wednesday, yet again, there was another complaint from the accused, and this time it was in connection to accused number 5. He also was refusing to come to court, reason being he has been mistreated at the prison. Now Shololo does indicate that accused number 5 was moved from B max to C max during the recess because of an alleged cell phone that was found in his possession during a raid. Now he does say that since he was moved to C max, he has been tortured. They have been denying him phone calls to his family, as well as denying him blankets at the prison as well. So the judge does ask who has been torturing him, and accused number 5 does say that Mr. Leta from the prison at Hosimamburu has been torturing him. Now, judge then requests for Mr. Leta to come to court, and so that they can address the issues of assault. Now, they did take a short break, and after the break, we were expecting Mr. Leta to come and address the court with the accusations that accused number 5 had made, but instead we got Mr. Kebengu. Guys, you remember Mr. Kebengu, right? Remember Mr. Kebengu. So Mr. Kebengu did come to court, and he basically told the court that there was a raid that was done. Oh, firstly, before the raid, he does say that accused number 5 did get 2 phone calls, one on the 12th of July and one on the 18th of July. And then he does say that all the prisoners do get 3 blankets, and Mr. Duli does have blankets as well. Then the judge asked him, when did you see those blankets? And he says that he saw them that morning. Now he goes on to the issue of the alleged cell phone that was found in possession of accused number 5, where he says that on the 8th of July, there was a raid at the police station, and on that raid, they allegedly found a cell phone in accused number 5's possession. They then, on the 9th of July, moved him from B max to C max because of the said cell phone. Now, the judge had several questions that he asked Mr. Kebengu in connection with the cell phone that Mr. Kebengu could not answer. Firstly, he asked who found the cell phone. Mr. Kebengu says he cannot tell. 2, did you see the cell phone? Mr. Kebengu said no. 3, who entertained the whole issue of the raid and everything? He says it was the EST team, and the National Commissioner was also involved. He does say that the raid allegedly took place around 11 o'clock at night, and no complaint that was logged, and there was no charge that was logged by accused number 5 to say that he has been in the situation where he's tortured and blankets are not being given to him, etc. And then the judge then asked, where is Mr. Leta? Because we had asked for Mr. Leta to come here, and he basically says, you know what, I am above, or I'm a superior to Mr. Leta, and everything Mr. Leta does, he does report to me. So I have the information that Mr. Leta would have given to the court. Judge then asked if he did actually speak to Mr. Leta, and he says yes, he does. He did speak to Mr. Leta, and Mr. Leta is the person that does the interviews with the prisoners. And basically, the judge then asked Mshololo to basically state accused number 5's case in this situation, and Mshololo then requests that accused number 5 speak for himself. Just as Mr. Leta put his story, let accused number 5 also put his version of events. When accused number 5 does stand, these are some of the things that he mentions that had happened during this time. He says that on the 8th of July, there was a raid in their prison. That is absolutely spot on. He says that the people came just after 10, actually not 11 that Uqebengu was talking about. It was just after 10, and he says it's just after 10 because the lights in the prison had just gone off. He says that when they came to search, they basically took them out of their cells and they were told to raise their hands. They did a search on them. They found nothing on him. Then they went into his room. In his room, there was a television, and then they requested him to provide the, I think it's some license to have that TV in the prison. And then he does indicate to them that the prison is for the whole section, so basically every now and then they change it from cell to cell, and because he didn't have that license for the TV or the permit for the TV, he says that they said that they would take the TV away from his cell. So he agreed to that. They searched his room, and when they were done, there was a lady that came that asked for his ticket, and in his mind he assumed that the reason why the lady was taking his ticket with his prison number or something like that, or cell number, I don't know how it works in prison, guys, but he gave the ticket to the lady thinking that it's because they had found that TV, so they were going to report that they found the TV in this particular cell. Next thing, the following morning, he wakes up and he's been told that he's been moved to CMAX. He says he spoke to a Mr. Babumshini. He says they call him Babumshini, and he asked, what is going on? Why am I being moved? Etc, etc. And he says that they say that there was a cell phone. So now he's saying, how was there a cell phone? Because these people left my room saying they found nothing. They even told me to pack up my room when they were done with the raid and the search. Now they're telling me there's a cell phone. So he says that he can see that they're trying to plant him, because he says that there was a cell phone that was found at CMAX. So now he is at BMAX, and apparently there was no cell phone found at BMAX at all, and there was a cell phone that was found at CMAX, and the cell phone that was found at CMAX belonged to a David Ramohale. Now he was dropping names. He was not there to play. He was not there to laugh with the state and the correctional service. He was dropping names. He said the phone was found in possession of David Ramohale, and what the correctional service did is that they moved him from BMAX and they put him in Ramohale's cell at CMAX, and they took Ramohale and put him in his cell at BMAX. So now it would seem like they found a cell phone in his cell, because he's now in the cell in which they found a cell phone. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that was the situation he explained to the court. Now he says that in connection with the report that they're saying he did not file any complaints or anything like that, he says that he spoke to members of JIX on the 10th, and he wrote a letter on the 10th to Mr. Klebengu, and he says till today, which was on Wednesday, he has not received a response from Mr. Klebengu. The people from JIX went to Mr. Klebengu to find out what the response is in connection to his letter, and Mr. Klebengu gave them nothing. He says that on the 14th, again, he spoke to the people at JIX again to say, hey guys, my letter, what's going on? And they again said Mr. Klebengu has not given them a response. He then says Mr. Nkosi then tells him that he's not allowed to make calls till the people from BMAX actually come to CMAX and sort out his issues, right? He then says that after 30 minutes of that, Mr. Leta came to his cell and he took his blankets. So after accused number 5 asked the people from JIX to ask what's happening with his letter, they said usile wena. They took his blankets to punish him, right? And then he then says that he then slept without blankets on that day, but then he did ask the cleaners that were cleaning if they could give him extra blankets, and they did manage to give him 2 blankets. And he says that on the 19th again, Mr. Leta took the blankets that he was given by the cleaners, right? Yesterday, on Tuesday, when they came back from court, he knows that everybody comes back from court and gets a phone call. He didn't get a phone call. He was not allowed to make a call. And he says that still no response from these people about his letter. Mr. Gqebengu, it's the first time seeing him now in court since the 9th, when he was moved from B-Max to C-Max. So Jay, he says indaba phone not existent. No phone was found on him. A TV was found in his cell. That he does agree to. So the judge then asks if the other accused are experiencing any issues at their prisons. Accused number 1 is at Moda B, as I said. Accused number 2 is at Khosi Mampuru, but he is at B unit. And accused number 3 is at Khosi Mampuru, but at B Max. So there's a difference between B unit and B Max. And then accused number 4 is at Leeuwkop, and accused number 5 is also at Khosi Mampuru at now C Max. So the judge then asks him which prison would he like to be moved to, in order for one, the movements of him coming to court so that he's not late doesn't affect the proceedings. But not only that, also now because he's having issues with the correctional service at Khosi Mampuru, it's causing him to want to delay the case, because when they do something wrong to him, he retaliates by not wanting to come to court. So the judge then says, which prison do you want to go to? Even if you want to go to Cape Town, I will make a ruling, or I'll make a court order to say that you must be taken there, just as long as you get here every morning in time. And he does indicate that he wants to be taken to Leeuwkop. So now the judge says, you know what, this is beyond me. This is not, I don't have the authority to do this. However, I'm going to make a court order that accused number 5 be moved from this prison, Khosi Mampuru, to Leeuwkop, right? He then asks who's the head of that prison, who's the head of that prison, does Leeuwkop have a C-Max, and. The funny thing about accused number 5 is that he says he wants to be moved to Leeuwkop at C-Max because that's where he belongs. He belongs at maximum. Belong at maximum. I love that for him. Right? The judge then makes that court order, and the arrangements were then going to be made as to how they actually move accused number 5 from that one prison to the other. As Mshololo is addressing the court and saying, you know what, we've lost so much time already, why don't we adjourn now and have them organize the transport so that accused number 5 can be moved now? Because the judge was initially saying that he would be moved the following day. And Mr. Gqebengu then says, oh no, it won't be possible to move him today because of transport as well as the paperwork. So accused number 5 is like, hold my beer. And he says, no, this one must not lie and talk about transport, because already coming to prison, I am brought by the people from Leeuwkop and not Khosi Mampuru. So I don't know how transport would be a problem. And I was like, yo, this guy can speak, right? As he says that, the judge then says, okay, for tonight, we will, because the paperwork is a lot of work, and also I don't have the authority to actually be doing this. Tonight you'll sleep at Khosi Mampuru, and then tomorrow you'll go to Leeuwkop. And then accused number 5 says, hey, bangang shisige. Now guys, Danzi spoke about being electrocuted by these people. Accused number 5 is speaking about being electrocuted by these people. Why are they electrocuting the prisoners, guys? He says, bangang shisige laband. And the judge says, let's start with another witness. As accused number 5 is walking to his seat, he says, "Buganje namanje lo muntu ngibukanja nyambone ungibuka kanja." Yo, the court laughed. After the break, the state does call a new witness, Mr. Munakedi, who is the person who took the aerial photos. Now, what I loved about the defense on the day is that when Mr. Mugedi took the stand, they basically said, hey, these are the aerial photos that we wanted nothing to do with, but the state insisted on bringing them because they wanted to stop the inspection in local. So we don't have a problem with those photos. Just hand them up as exhibits and we accept them. No cross-examination, nothing of Munaged. But regardless of the defense saying they are happy with the photo, the aerial photos, they won't be asking questions, Baloyi still wanted the witness to go through the question, the witness to go through the photos. Why? Because the only things he asked about those photos is that the police station, he said yes. Is that the EMPD officers, he said yes. And that was it. Why are you wasting our time, Baloyi? Like, close your case already. That's what I was screaming the whole day. Now, another interesting thing that happened on Wednesday is that Baloyi then addresses the court and he says, okay, now that they've handed up the exhibit by Mr. Munakedi, the aerial photos, he wants to touch on the issue of Mr. John Bailey. Mr. John Bailey is a witness that the state was going to call, as they had provisionally, please listen to this word very well, provisionally handed up a video depicting Longwe walking in a video yaga in ENCA. Now, Mr. Bailey has indicated that he will not be coming to testify. Now, the issue that I had with this is that Baloyi still wanted to insist in keeping the video as part of the evidence, even though it was provisionally accepted, provided that someone comes to authenticate it. If someone has not come to authenticate that video, why is that video still part of evidence? That's just my question. Another issue that Baloyi spoke about on Wednesday was the issue of the proposition that was put by Advocate Mnisi during his cross-examination on the 20th of June, where he says that accused number 3 was arrested in January of 2013 and released in September of 2014 when they were cross-examining with regards to the pictures that were downloaded on his phone. It does say that there is a statement that he has that has not been certified, and he has spoken to Mnisi in connection with that particular statement, and once the statement is certified, then they will obviously try to see if they will work with that statement or give it in as an exhibit. He then updates the exhibit list with some of the USBs from the downloads of accused number 3 as well as accused number 2 and section 205s for Abolongwe as well as the accused, and those were the proceedings for Wednesday. On Thursday, before the court proceeded, we were told that there's a delegation from the Correctional Service, Jose Mampuru, that wants to address the court. Now, the gentleman that was there was the Area Commissioner, Mr. Koza, who indicated his unhappiness with the judge's order yesterday with regards to moving Untuli from Jose Mampuru to Lukop. Now, my question is, if this person is so problematic, why do you want to keep him there? Let him go. Why are you fighting so hard to keep him there? Just let him go. Let him go to Lukop. Why are you fighting this? So he basically does address the court, and he says that he lied and he's trying to convince the judge to change his order. And the judge did seem like he wanted to change his order, to be quite honest, but Mnisi threw in the law. They threw in the law, okay? Firstly, Mshololo says, hey, the court has granted this order and it cannot be rescinded. When I realized that Judge Rata actually wants to change this, he says, hey, who says that? I can recall the order and. Then Mnisi says he's also got submissions for which he quotes section 173, and he says, you made it clear that this is for a smooth continuation of this trial. So to have this person come here and tell us he's unhappy is irregular. If he's unhappy with the order, he needs to do a review or lodge an application and follow the processes that need to be followed. And then Ramusipili, you know, Ramusipili does have his knockout blows, where he says that the court discharged its duty and the court can't revisit its own decision. And if this person has a problem, he must make an application to review. My lord has no power to revisit his order. And basically, Judge Rata then says, you know what, my hands are tied. I can't rescind my order. The order is as it stands. He then continued with the proceedings, where Advocate Baloyi then indicated that yesterday the defense did agree that the photos, the aerial photos by Monagedi would be accepted via section 220, and then also they were updating the exhibits with the pathology report having the same exhibit number as Captain Steenkamp, or is a Colonel Steenkamp, the one that did the identikit. So they needed to rename the exhibit for the pathology report. And then also the issue of Makaleni's death certificate. I found it very surprising that his death certificate indicated that his cause of death is under investigation. This raised an eyebrow for me. There was an issue of a particular exhibit which Urata does say that he asked Mnisi if it was handed up correctly, and Mnisi does stand up and say, although I did not hand up the exhibit in the way in which I should have, Dr. Sibanda read the full content of that particular exhibit onto the record, so it does form part of the record. record. Now, after that, he does indicate that the statement that he referred to, Obaloyi, the previous day with regards to accused number 3's arrest, he will no longer be pursuing it, and therefore 3 years later the state has finally closed their case. I was so happy I could have screamed. Nisi then says that he wanted to bring this to the attention of the court before the state actually closed their case, but in connection with the video clip, because it was provisionally accepted, waiting Mr. Bailey to come testify, it should be struck off the court's documents. Basically, it shouldn't form part of the exhibits, and there was an argument with regards to that Baloyi put up, which I will get into. Then he also does say that, you know, the issue of Ulongwe is not like a dead end because the ENCA couldn't come testify. Longwe is still alive. Bring Longwe, let him testify that that was him. He was there, and let us cross-examine him, basically. He does also indicate that there was an issue of the vehicles that we still have not received the AVLs for, and he does indicate that, you know, the only way that they can get these AVLs are from the states because these vehicles are state vehicles. Does also mention that although they did explain the issue of the hard body, which was driven by Umabena, the issue of the Goal 7 when it comes to the AVLs, and the issue of the BMW, there is a Qashqai, guys. Qashqai that Mr. Smiya keeps hammering on, that was driven by Ungamane. He does also place it on record that Ungamane is Tagazelo of Umaseko, but there was no explanation by the state with regards to that vehicle, and also a Ford Ranger which was driven by Bongani Yende. Mnisi does say that the third point in what he is presenting to the court is that now the defense has two options. It's either they call their own witnesses or they apply for a section 174. Before they get into the issue of what the defense has decided to do, they give the state an opportunity to respond to the points that Mnisi spoke on, and they basically do say that they believe that the video evidence should be accepted because video evidence is real evidence, and the judge basically says, you know what, that's a point that they can argue at the end. But I completely agree with Umnisi. It was provisionally accepted provided that an authenticator will come and authenticate it. Since it's not authenticated, we cannot say, or we cannot use that video as evidence. They did go on a break because Mshololo did want to address Umnisi just before he spoke about the section 174. Then after the break, Umnisi did say that the defense will be applying for a section 174. They are, however, consulting with legal aid as to the ways forward, as legal aid will be meeting up with the CMC to discuss a way forward, and that meeting will happen on the 26th of July. So therefore, they are requesting that the court does adjourn until the 7th of August. Now, the state didn't seem very happy about the defense applying for a section 174, but I am very happy. So just in case some of us don't know what a section 174, I'm just going to put it in simple terms, guys. It's basically a procedure that allows the court to release the accused or accused because there's not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence to convict them. But let me put this in the correct context. They say there's no evidence upon which a reasonable person could convict. Reasonable doubt, reasonable person, right? So I am happy that the defense is applying for a section 174, and I'm more interested in seeing if Judge Rata will actually approve this application for a 174. The reason why I say I'm kind of happy that they applied for a section 174 is because I don't believe the state has any evidence which is watertight that can convict these accused. Till today, 3 years later, we still don't know who shot Senzo Meyiwa. Yes, they have the gun that they say is the gun. They are saying Ncube is the shooter, but Ncube is not tall enough to have shot Senzo in the position in which the pathology report says he was shot. It says that he must have been shot by a tall person if the position was a standing position, and from the evidence that the state has led, Senzo was in a standing position. So accused number 3 wouldn't have been in a position to shoot him in a downward angle. And then the second thing is now the Danzi that they've introduced into the picture to say that he was the shooter. However, this is not possible with the evidence again that the state has led, because yes, he might be tall as Senzo Meyiwa or taller. However, according to Tumelo's evidence, Senzo had Danzi's hands pinned to the door when the first shot went off, and he was even able to punch Undanzi. And according to the confession, which was led by the state, Undanzi also ran out after the first shot. So Danzi's hands were up here, Tumelo was smacking him, first shot went off, Danzi ran out. So Danzi couldn't have shot him according to his confession. Neither could he have shot him according to Tumelo's evidence. Neither could accused number 3 have shot him. And also accused number 3's cell phone takes him away from the crime scene. So there's just actually nothing that puts the accused at the crime scene besides the confessions that are being denied by the accused. Guys, the state is studying. It states 3 years later, the state is done. So I cannot wait to see what the defense will do with the application, or what Rata will decide with the application. But the good thing is, if he does decline the application for 174, it gives the defense a chance to fix the areas in which Rata believes are strong for the state. So what I mean by this is that Rata will need to give reasons as to why he's declining the application for the 174, and whatever reasons he gives, that's what the defense needs to work on their case when they open their case. So guys, I'm super excited. I cannot wait for that application of 174 and the outcome of that. And if we are going into the defense's case, if we are, Absalom Zungu, you're up. Kulungile guys, I will see you in my next video. Bye.